what are the demographics, what is the plan, what's the long-term plan, and so because you can get an entire crowd of people. So here's some bad things that can happen. For one thing, these buttons that you press, it really is like, okay, and then money's just
disappearing.
It's just gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but Nolan, it was only $20. I get this all the time. Well, I did it. It was $20. Or Nolan, I do my SEO work for $2.99. I was like, oh, well, that's good. You throw $299 completely down the drain. They don't do any work at all, and you can tell by looking at it. Except it was $2.99. So and so people, these smaller amounts of money just seem to be like gambling freebie money, and people don't think about it. But it's just gone. Right. So when you go on and you start down that road, you need to know what the plan is. So one of the bad things, go back to that, is that you built an audience, and like Jason was saying, the audience didn't have anything to do with your industry. Like people that don't even own homes are liking your account.
Yeah.
And then oops, you got a brand to this community, which is what you have the opportunity to do now that you couldn't do before, because you can't put billboards up all over town or run radio and TV for everybody, right?
Right.
So you've got 3,000, 5,000 people, and you built it up, and you're like, yes, I spent thousands and I got my crowd, and I'm going to use this approach, and I'm going to have this referral network. And then half of them don't own a house.
Yeah.
It's just some weirdo that clicked on it. Hey guys, it's Nolan and Jason here.
Howdy.
How's it going? So today for Roofing Webmasters, we're going to talk about why Facebook ads work for roofers. And I'm going to start out real general with this.
Okay.
And I guess the general notion of it is I'll get asked a question. In fact, somebody asked me this the other day, and they said, Nolan, do you think I should do this kind of marketing? And I used to,
yes.
Yeah, I used to kind of get stomped on and be like, well, and nowadays I'm like, of course you should market on Google and Facebook.
Of course you should market on the thing that people check 14 times a day and has a billion eyeballs on it.
Yeah, 14 times per day.
Yeah, on average.
Now Google's more effective if you're dominating that on a whole, because it's a roofer and people are searching the stuff in, and the
Right.
Facebook audience, is either ads pushing out to them, or you built your own audience that you nurtured, but you can't push out to everybody.
Right.
Like on Google at any one point in time, if you're up the top, anybody in that market can find you.
Yeah, anybody that's looking for you can find you.
But Facebook can be fantastic for people. So when I get that question, it's like, well, of course, so I'll say, for one thing, sir, Tom or Bob or Mark or whoever it is, I said, I own a digital marketing agency, so it's kind of a loaded question. It's
Right.
like you'd never have me say, oh no, we shouldn't market on some of the most primary marketing platforms and the biggest ones that have ever existed in America, in human history.
Or yeah.
So yes, from a general rule of thumb, yes. And we know to market on Google, to do organic, to do paid ads on Google, and to do marketing and paid ads on Facebook. Right. So you can talk about that one for a minute while I'm a little raspy today, but if you take a drink, you want to talk about the, as far as doing paid ads and why you have to pay on Facebook.
Yeah.
So,
and this actually all happened just in the past year or less than a year ago. You've always been able to make, or for a long time, you've been able to make a business page on Facebook. Everybody knows that. But for the longest time, Facebook treated a business page the way they treated a personal account. If you put stuff on it, it went into people's feed if they liked you, and it was perfectly fine.
It's been trending to non-organic distribution, actually, Jason, for several years.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking originally. It was
like
just
to where
like
it didn't go almost at all.
Yeah,
has been maybe within the last year and a half.
Yeah,
or so.
last year or so. They basically cut that out, and business pages don't show in people's feeds unless you pay extra, unless you boost the post, pay for advertising. I mean, obviously, Facebook wants to make money. That's how they make money. They're selling you that eyeball space.
It seems rudimentary, but if people are only used to Facebook on a personal level, they're unaware.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Facebook is basically the replacement of magazines, radio, and TV.
Right.
Back in the day, you did television commercials, radio commercials, or ads in magazines and newspapers, because that's where the eyeballs and the ears were.
Right.
And now all the eyeballs and ears are on social media,
so
mostly Facebook.
Based upon that, Facebook is an excellent opportunity, because if it was back in the day, and I was alive back in the day when they didn't have, and I was in business, and I owned a home service business.
Right.
And they did. If we wanted to go on Facebook, radio, TV, and what'd you say? Yellow Page.
Radio, TV, newspapers,
Yeah. I mean,
magazines,
so I
whatever.
could do. So for me, for my small business, I could do Yellow Page ad,
Right.
but it was tough.
It was expensive.
It was expensive.
It was really expensive.
I don't understand it nowadays, by the way. So people now, in today's marketing world, people will look up and go, what? And then spend like, well, yeah, if you don't spend a few grand, you probably won't get much distribution on Facebook or Google, right? But people are like, $2,000, but the same guy that's my age that owned the roofing business would spend $2,500 on a full page Yellow Page ad.
Yeah.
And commit for the year. And by the way, towards the end, when they got pressure from online, they stuck evergreen policies in them.
Right.
And so they basically were on a wheel forever,
Right.
unless they went into cancel.
And we still hear guys that'll say, "Oh, I got an ad on the radio." It's like, that's nice and all, but
Gosh, we were talking.
nobody's listening to it.
So we were talking about a client today, and it's a client, so we won't
No
go in.
names.
Yeah, no names or nothing. But this guy does a ton of direct mail.
Right.
In the middle of winter, he's getting 300 unique organic clicks on just the keyword clicks. We're not talking about map impressions or anything else going on.
Right.
We're not talking.
And that was all organic.
That
'Cause we
was
looked it
all
up on
organic,
analytics. Yeah.
So people still do a lot about that stuff, but then when it comes to getting on social media, now the reason they don't get onto Facebook and stuff is because they just don't know what's going on. But I'll finish my point. I didn't finish it.
Sorry.
So when somebody goes on Facebook today, back in the day, I couldn't really afford TV and radio
Right.
on Dallas Fort Worth because we're in Fort Worth and we service the whole metroplex back then for home security, and I just couldn't afford to do it. I mean, I couldn't afford to brand myself. But that's the cool thing about Facebook, and I say Facebook. We're guys, it's Instagram too. But what's the statistic on the percentage of ad spend for Google and Facebook?
80%. 80% of all marketing dollars for paid advertising online goes to either Google or Facebook.
So guys, just to say that again, it's 80% of everything.
Right.
Anybody doing some other, this is LinkedIn or Twitter or somebody putting up banners on stuff, 80% of every dollar ever spent online
Google or Facebook.
goes to Google. It's actually a little over 80%. So you should be participating in this. So the thing I like about it is that you can brand yourself within your community that you built, nurtured, fostered, and take care of. So you can take five. So okay, so my goal is to get 5,000 people as referral agents, and they know who I am. Well, you can do that relatively inexpensively.
Yeah.
Now it's going to take a little bit of time and money to develop the audience, so that's one way to do it. And you can also have ads that actually go out to specific demographics.
Yeah, that's the really cool thing about Facebook. Is back in the day we had, you had your TV
True.
ad, you had your magazine ad, you had demographics for who was watching at what time and who got that magazine. But with Facebook, we've got age, we've got gender, we've got job, we've got interests, we've got what kind of car they drive. Facebook looks at everything every user interacts with. I mean, there's all the information that people give to Facebook on purpose, and then there's all the stuff like everything that person clicks on gets put in a little database, and it's like, you know what, they might not have liked this or gone into their profile and said, I like this thing, but every time something related to this shows up in their feed, they click on it.
Yeah.
And Facebook then tells us, hey, this person likes this.
So we have a client too, no names again, of course, but this is a pretty successful company, and they do advertising on radio, and they're proud about the demographic that they picked a type. I won't even say the type of demographic, but they picked a particular show to get a particular demographic.
Right.
But that is so rudimentary compared to what you can do now with the demographics.
Yeah.
So I remember having a conversation with a client about it, and he was proud of the fact that he picked this demographic with this particular personality in a particular market. And I'm like, well, shoot. And by the way, when he spent money, it was like $16,000 to $18,000 a month. So he'd commit to a month, he'd get these little spots. But man, for that kind of money, what you can do online nowadays. So let's dig
And
in.
I guarantee you that even the audience he was looking at, there were more of them on Facebook than there were listening to that radio show.
Oh yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and the Facebook, he could have gotten the same exposure on Facebook for a quarter or an eighth of the price.
So I'll tell you how we got involved in Facebook, and this may sound silly to you, but we're human beings here. I make mistakes and do stuff, but
we try everything.
We try everything. So it was before Facebook had gotten going for businesses as much, and this was about 5 years ago. And it's really kind of hot right now. Facebook's heated up in the last year or so.
Yeah, big time.
Don't let me forget, I want to talk about know where you're going before you start.
Right.
Okay, so we'll get to that in just a second. But when we went to go to some roofing conferences, and I would warn anybody that sees a digital marketing agency for any reason, whether they're going to run your Facebook ads or SEO work or Google AdWords, if you meet them at a conference. So we went to these conferences, and we picked 3 different venues to go to.
Yeah.
And they were all kind of horrible in their own way. The feeling that I had was that same gut feel that I have when I walk in, when it used to be the U.S. Post Office, and you walk in and you're like, oh God, there's the stench of impending death,
I was here, man, in the office, and he was off at this conference. He called me every day, like twice a day, going, oh my God, it's so depressing.
Well, the last of the generation that was walking the conferences was there.
Yeah.
There was no new people there. And even though it was this super nice hotel we were at, the stench of death was in the air of the conference itself.
Right.
The death crackle. They were crackling and about to just give in. And then at the same time, the other owner, John, went to a much bigger one. And I'm not even mention them because everybody knows the biggest one.
Right.
So we went to the biggest one. And it was like football fields underneath a hotel.
Yeah, it was the big convention space in the basement of the hotel.
Yeah, you could walk into the aisle and shoot a sawed-off shotgun and not hit anybody, And if you did, everybody there would have been too old to die. Yeah. So we didn't get in. So John came back, and I'm like, son of a gun, that was some bull crap. That was bull. And I said,
we got very few leads out of it.
We bought pop-up displays. We bought the banners. We had the table that would come in. We could ship it, and we had the little sign on the front and a little tear one off, and
nice little like first timer booth kind of thing.
TV with a little something playing on it, logo and stuff, and it got back, and I was like, well, I'll never do that again, ever. And so I
worked hard on those banners. They're sitting in the corner.
So we still try. We'll try all marketing. We direct mailed not too long ago, and that was like horrific.
Yeah, we gave that a shot. Never again.
So we came back, and this was 5 years ago or so. And we came back, and I said, well, how much did that cost us? Speaking about the radio ad, for example.
Yeah.
It's like, well, it cost us this much money. I said, every bit of that's going into social media next year.
And it was a lot. Just getting the.
Oh, we po-boyed it.
It
was a lot.
We shoestringed it as much as we could, and we still spent 5 figures.
Yeah.
Well into 5 figures.
Yeah, I think we were close to. We went to 2 or 3 conferences. We had to pay for the conference, hotels, owners went a whole bit, and we spent like $20,000 or something.
Yeah.
And anybody else there seriously was hack people. So the other people that were in this realm there were like the worst that couldn't show up in ranking or do anything online.
Right.
So they're there meeting these guys. Anyway, so we spent all that, and then we got our social. The cool thing about it was, so now we have well over 10,000 likes. I think it's like 12 or something. I hadn't looked at it in a while.
Yeah, I think it's up to about that.
Well, let me tell you something. There's a hell of a lot more people than showed up there.
Right.
And if I wanted to get the word out to anybody, it's a hell of a lot cheaper than postcards or hauling my sorry old butt to a conference to meet a bunch of other dudes.
Yeah, we can hit.
I'm sorry, barely any other dudes.
We can hit our whole audience for our whole Facebook audience. We can hit them all for like $1,000.
Less than, $1,000
something
maybe.
like that over a weekend.
Yeah. So it's still expensive. Don't get me wrong, but it's a lot easier. This is just one of the things to do, though. So let's talk about that for a minute. Know where you're going before you start. And so the issue that comes up is that there are so many people sitting at home claiming to know how to run social media campaigns,
Right.
right? And they get online, or the roofer tries to run a social media campaign, and Google, I'm sorry, I'm so used to saying Google, but Facebook makes it easy. It's like, well, boosted. Oh hell, I'll give it $20. It kind of reminds me of buying a lottery ticket. Like if the state could just get onto the phone
And just
It's like-
have you
Yeah.
do your fingerprint and buy.
yeah, lotto coming up. You want to do that? It's like, well, shoot, man, I'll do
It's up
$10.
to 200 million. I'll give $2 for that.
Okay, so shoot, you tell me 3,000 people saw that, 20 more bucks. I'll double down. And then you hit the button. Well, Facebook loves to daisy chain you to the daisy chain, chain.
Everybody
Yeah.
you know, plus their likes, plus everything that the likes have liked and everything else. So
Yeah.
pretty much your $40 of whatever has gotten distributed to 5 million people. You know,
Well, it would've been-
4.9 million of them have nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
and
it wouldn't
are
have been
irrelevant.
distributed. But the point, yeah, so it goes in such.
Well,
it-
potentially, you know.
yeah, potentially it goes, poof, like, it's the 7 degrees of the entire world of Kevin Bacon's Facebook or
Yeah.
whatever. So,
And so 95%
Yeah.
of the people who saw your ad are not anyone you care about.
yeah, so the demographics are like critically important, but there also has to be a better plan than that.
Right.
So it's like, okay, am I going to get a like base and to foster a community and get a ad promotion to get likes to get a community that I foster? Or am I going to go out to demographics direct on ad response, which is much trickier on Facebook because remember, if they go to Google, they specifically were looking for roof replacement or repair or shingle roofs or impact resistance or TPO
Or they're interested in solar roofing or whatever it is.
yeah. Solar roofing isn't a thing necessarily yet, but
You know what I'm saying.
I know what you mean. Yeah, some of them do.
Sorry,
Some of
I'm
the
thinking ahead.
Some of the guys will do solar, especially in California and other places. But yeah, you might be into roof restoration or silicone or acrylic and whatever that is. When they type it in, there it is in organic mapping or paid on Google. But if they go to Facebook, well, you need to be really careful.
Right.
So let's say, okay, so what are the demographics? What is the plan? What's the long-term plan? And so, because you can get an entire crowd of people. So here's some bad things that can happen. For one thing, these buttons that you press, it really, is like, okay, and then money's just
Disappearing.
It's just gone.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, but Nolan, it was only $20. I get this all the time. Well, I did it. It was $20. Or Nolan, I do my SEO work for $2.99. I was like, oh, well, that's good. You throw $299 completely down the drain. They don't do any work at all, and you can tell by looking at it. Except it was $2.99. So and so people, these smaller amounts of money just seem to be like gambling freebie money, and people don't think about it. But it's just gone.
Right.
So when you go on and you start down that road, you need to know what the plan is. Because so one of the bad things, go back to that, is that you built an audience, and like Jason was saying, the audience didn't have anything to do with your industry. Like people that don't even own homes are liking your account.
Yeah.
And then oops, you got a brand to this community, which is what you have the opportunity to do now that you couldn't do before because you can't put billboards up all over town or run radio and TV for everybody, right?
Right.
So you've got 3,000, 5,000 people and you built it up and you're like, yes, I spent thousands and I got my crowd. And I'm going to use this approach and I'm going to have this referral network. And then half of them don't own a house.
Yeah.
It's just some weirdo that clicked on it,
It got
Like-
put in their feed and they click because they click reflexively on everything that comes up.
Yeah,
in their
some
feed.
people do that. Or maybe it was a kid that works at roofing or contractors, but it doesn't have anything to do with helping you. And the problem is now you paid to get the promotion and and now every time you get more people, you have to spend more money to get out to them. And if you don't send it out once a month or so, they forget who you are,
Right.
right? So you need to go out to them once a week or every 2 weeks minimum, I'd say, just so they remember you.
Right.
And so that is just one thing that can happen. We did this on some accounts of our own. And
When he's saying this is mistakes we have made.
Yeah,
and
so
we learned from it.
we'll learn from them. And then, seriously, we didn't offer this to other people until we'd already, some some stuff is always changing. And when we first started, there were mistakes made, but this was almost a decade ago. On a social media level, we did not charge for the service until we fully understood the service.
Yeah, we did it for at least 2 years before. We did Facebook for 2 or 3 years.
Yeah,
before we even talked about it.
We did it 2 years hardcore ourselves before we even talked to anybody about it.
Yeah.
So the point is, that is one thing that can happen. You can also completely script your demographics. If you press buttons and don't know what's going on, it can just be kiss goodbye. That is very particular. It's worth having some sort of management for us. We obviously provide the management for this, for Facebook, for our clients and for our roofers. And you can get on there and yes, you can be successful. Guys, there's a company named Moz that does a lot of software for the SEO and digital marketing industry, and they have a pie chart that says that 20% of your Google search ranking is a direct result of your social response. And so I'm a big believer in the synergy of everything online and your brand, and I like all of it. Even if it doesn't directly affect Google, people are still going to get onto your website and then go to Facebook and then utilize that information as to whether or not they're going to buy from you.
Yeah, the active Facebook feed, even if it doesn't come up in their normal daily feed, if they go look at your Facebook page, it legitimizes.
It does. So I mean, some of the first things I'm going to do is when I'm looking at a product, I'm going to go look at the website. I'm going to check Google reviews, and if it's something big purchase like roofing, then I'm going to go further. I'm going to start digging. And I'm going to look at Facebook reviews, Google reviews, Yelp reviews, BBB reviews. These are like primary stuff. If all that looks clean, and I go glance at Facebook, go and look at a few, and then I see that I'm done. I'm good. You know, especially if there's personalization involved.
Right.
So
if it doesn't look generic and it looks like, you know, it's like you took that picture out on a job site or whatever. Yeah.
So all of that is going to feed into it. So you can, if you worked Facebook and didn't actually have a ton of money being spent, and you couldn't count direct business to you in quantity, but you're busy and otherwise earning money, you should continue. Right. So there's a lot of things that you do that are overall part of goodwill, conversion, and synergy to your overall online health. And Facebook marketing is a no-brainer. If you don't spend money on Facebook, but you do a post once a week, it's still okay in my book, because the conversion of the people that come to the website are going to be able to flip through a little bit, get satisfied, and validate you as a credible company. Right. So it's. I had some other stuff I wanted.
You said something about know where you're going before.
Well,
you get there.
but we talked about that a little bit. But if you don't have a roadmap of what the plan is, it is just a money burn.
Yeah.
You know, so you can go and produce an audience full of nonsense that didn't help you. You can spend money. I think the biggest problem, and you know, we see this all the time, people spend money. It's very difficult for most people. Hell, it's difficult for me too. I mean, I can get analytics off of Google and Facebook and all that, but you really can't track every call nowadays. It was easier 5 years ago, but if you punch a button to spend $100, I really honestly believe that there's a false reading on that due to ego. We talk about this, everyone, and I don't want to get like super psychological on everybody here, but ego plays a part in business owners.
Oh, yeah.
And business owners are guys that, you know, are a little bit cocky, that have, and if you press a button, you're like, I did something. Well, don't. It's a bad trap to fall into.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, we've had people who've done some of their own Facebook stuff, and we call them, and you know, they're like, well, you're
okay. I got a story. For
the 6 months of effort you've put in on the website, that's not getting me any leads. But last week I did a $40 boost on Facebook and I got a couple of calls, or 200 people looked at that video.
So we were talking to a client one time that's still a client, very successful and very dominant on organic. Mm-hmm. And I love Facebook and social media marketing. You should definitely do it. But for this purpose, we're going to compare it to the SEO effort.
Right.
So this guy, do you know who I'm talking about?
I think so.
So anyway, this guy's stupid dominant in his market, and even pretty dominant in the adjacent massive market. And his business was getting better and better. A hailstorm hits, and then he's one of the top dogs in that general area now, right?
Yeah.
It's a region, but in this area, he's one of the top dogs. Well, it's common for us to help a client out so much that they make so much money that they hire an in-house marketing person.
Yes.
So we talk about this.
If y'all watch any of these, you've heard this story before. One similar to
You've
it.
heard a similar version of it. It is highly, I don't know if it's highly ridiculous, but it's not prudent to have so much income being earned that you don't contact that company again and say, hey, what can we do next, maybe?
You
right?
guys have done great. What else can you do
Right.
for it? That should be the conversation.
That should be the first deduction, right?
Right.
And so this guy had hired, I don't know, I guess a marketing consultant or some guy, and they started doing their Facebook campaign.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, well, we hired an agent, and the agency consisted of a slick-talking 20-something-year-old guy and a girl that I never talked to. The guy I just about passed out in anger and blood pressure. You remember that? And I'm like, oh my God. Because when I get somebody calling me, it's like, I got my lackey here that wants to talk to the owner of the agency that I pay to do this work. Who, by the way, the lackey that I got, I pay 3 times more because he's in person and tells me how great I am.
Yeah.
But so they're running Facebook, and here's the false deal. He's like, our business is great. And I'm like, you should put a call tracking number on the Facebook ads, sir. I'm not going to mention that. Yeah, maybe you should do that. He said, Nolan, we did an ad, got 28,000 people. Yeah. So we got 28,000, and I said, and he acted like, huh? Like, what's up, bro? Like,
It's like, did you get 20,000 clicks or calls?
And my response was, so? And I was like, who cares if 28,000 people saw an ad on Facebook? Do you realize how unrelated that is to you? So Facebook for a while did behavioral stuff. Like if somebody is in the process of a move, they've removed it as far as I can tell. I need to talk to some of our Facebook experts here.
Well, they keep like they get caught doing it,
right?
And they pull it back,
right?
Because people get creeped out by it, then they sneak it back in.
So I don't think they're much more cynical than Jason. They do it for money.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying is they do it for money.
Oh, yeah.
But what happens is people get creeped out by it and they pull back on it, saying, no, we're not doing that because they don't want to lose the viewers. And then when everybody relaxes against,
you think they care?
Well, the viewers are what they're selling.
Yeah.
So they do it to make people feel better, and then they roll it back in when nobody's looking.
So here's the point, though. At the time that
Mine's more cynical than yours.
Okay. we're all now. We're cynical buddies now. Jason's way positive. But I've had my butt whooped so many times by people. I was like, I will immediately look for every negative situation that's occurred and filter it through my brain, and then go, where can I get screwed on it? So at that time, they didn't have this, and to my knowledge, they never had this. This was just general people that saw this thing.
Yeah, it was just pushed out to a bunch of irrelevant viewers.
So the mistake here is, how specific can it get, right?
Right.
And then what does it mean? Because you could have 30,000 likes or 28,000 views, and if it doesn't go to the right audience, and that's the difference in Facebook, that you have to be careful about it.
Yeah. And by the way, Facebook's back end for ads management is set up diabolically so.
It is.
In order for the sort of uninitiated user to make mistakes.
Yeah.
They want you to screw up and accidentally spend more money than you need or send your money out where it doesn't do you any good, so you'll spend more next time.
I'll give you an example.
Whatever.
So just because somebody's interested in roofing doesn't mean they're buying a roof.
Right.
And unfortunately, there's millions of people interested in roofing. Just because somebody's interested in roofing doesn't mean they own a roofing company or would be somebody that would like our site.
Right.
So they go through and have these ads up, and you can have these numbers like, whoa, holy cow. You know, look at this thing. I'll give you a better one, 28,000 views. So this guy was paying $2 or $3 grand a month.
At least, probably more.
Just for the dude to walk in and kiss his
Oh
butt.
yeah, just in salary. Yeah.
Yeah.
God, for 28,000 views on Facebook,
I don't
another
know.
3-4 grand.
Yeah.
maybe 5.
Oh, that's going to be good for the
That's
podcast.
great. There's somebody's car.
Oh, there it goes. Good.
There, good.
Yeah. Car alarm was going on. So, all right. So this guy's spending $4,000 or $5,000 per month.
Yeah.
Could have gone into a very conservative. I will damn well guarantee you. I bet you good money right now that they're no longer with him. This was a while back.
Yeah, this is like almost 2 years.
Here's the point. If you have these people claiming to be Facebook experts do this stuff and they show you these numbers, this guy's business was booming as a result of the organic effort. And
he wouldn't have been able to pay that person to swindle him on the Facebook stuff if
he was
we
very
hadn't done what we
cavalier
did.
with me about it,
Yeah.
but was not willing to put a call tracking. I said, we'll call track it. I said, that guy called me and went through the stuff. I said, I think he's a charlatan and a thief.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe any of this stuff.
Well, we had we had a recent one. Now this one wasn't Facebook. It was Google PPC.
Right.
The ones who were in here yesterday.
Yeah.
But again, no names.
Yeah.
And they had hired a guy internally, same deal. And
That's a good one.
One time, they
Yeah.
had us managing their pay-per-click.
Right.
And they hired an internal guy. We still had their website. We were still doing their organic effort, but they had this internal guy do their pay-per-click. And they came in to have a meeting with us to do some strategy stuff. And they told us, yeah, well, we fired that guy. And they had John, who's Google certified, look at their pay-per-click, what this guy had done to it. And what he had done is he had increased the size of the audience, and he had done something so they had larger audience and more clicks,
Right.
but
Wasted all their money, basically.
no return.
Yeah.
They weren't getting any more business. And John was able to say, well, he's doing these irrelevant words and these relevant words and these bad times a day, and he's going out to these parts of the city that do not order your services and these other stuff. And that's the kind of thing. And the same thing could happen on Facebook. In fact, it's more likely to happen on Facebook.
So, I don't want it to sound wrong here, but we're available for extremely high-end marketing services. That is a very, very good deal.
Right.
This is also a client who made so much money through our services that they hired an in-house marketing person. Now, here's the problem. Well, there's right at 24 people here now, all extremely highly skilled. If somebody doesn't, and I don't know why, but listen, I've done it before too, so I'm not claiming I'm better than any of this. I've tried it too. If you don't know, we're looking into some software-related items. I'm very, very concerned about it at this point in time because I have lived long enough to know it's like, how am I going to manage people if I don't understand software, right? It's a totally different market than what we do currently, even though it feels like it's pretty adjacent, but it's different.
It's very different.
Yeah, so he hires an in-house marketing guy, and they actually, this was kind of a love fest deal. This was, they came in here kind of gushing on us this time.
Yeah.
Right? But 2 years and a half ago, that wasn't the call I got.
No, it wasn't.
So the call, so this guy had done so well with us on one company, that he partnered with another guy and started another company, which by the way was a brand new .com, and and now dominates this category.
Mm-hmm.
And they're both dominant, and they both make a small fortune.
Right.
You can just smell it. They're very dominant.
They're crazy successful.
One guy has 15 or 20 people, and the other guy has this shop with a lot of people too. And I can't
We can't even say the
I
name
can't
of
say
the
the
type
names
of
of the type of business
businesses
because
that
it's
give it
too narrow, and they dominate the city that we're in. So got a call and said, "Oh, I've got this marketing guy in here," and this is relevant to this conversation because Facebook's marketers are worse than, I mean, SEO and people claiming to be a digital marketing expert.
That's full of.
Facebook's almost got more of them than this.
Yeah, now it does.
Yeah.
Because you got people like Ty Lopez.
Ty Lopez will
telling everybody,
say,
"Hey, I'll teach you how to be a Facebook marketer."
Call people and get $2,000 a month, $6,000 a month. Fleece them up one side and down the other. It's easy, And so yeah, you got all these people working from home calling these guys,
Yeah.
And so this guy had called and said, well, I got this guy, he's my guy, and he's going to do all this work. And I said, are you sure about that? And it's like, well, and I said, we have 24 people here that are extremely skilled that help to bring your company to domination in your market. And he's like, well, and he was very, very cavalier about that too, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
yeah.
and so, you know, it's very difficult to have one person have the resource set that you guys need. And some guy wants a job, and you hire somebody for really low pay, and there's nothing else around them, and the person that hired them has no idea how to manage them.
Right.
Anyway,
So
so
the reason somebody come to us in the first place is they didn't know how to do all the things we know how to do.
right.
You're not suddenly going to know how to manage a single person in your office who may or may not know this stuff either, because you don't necessarily know all the things we're doing or everything.
There
it takes.
are-
It's not intended to be an insult. We don't
No,
know your
and it's
business.
not intended to steer anything either. There are things that a client can do better than this company.
Right.
And the three of them specifically are get reviews. We can set up reviews better and optimize the map better, but we're not in front of the client to get reviews.
Right.
You can get pictures in to help embellish everything, and then also social postings.
Yeah. General social posting outside of like ad spend and managing ads, you guys are going to be way better than that because you're there on the job site. You're in
Personalization.
your office.
Yeah.
You can take a shot of any given person coming into work that day and holding their coffee and looking chipper and saying, hey, so-and-so's
That-
ready to work today or whatever.
That
You know?
roofer can also do any other types they want to do, like buying leads from services or doing any print they did want to do.
Yeah.
And that sort of stuff that's not on the web. All those other things we will do at a higher skill set and either utilize a higher skill set to get a better grade by Google for the organic rankings, or not waste their money on AdWords like the guy was just talking about,
Right.
to where he dropped the account out. And listen, the reason we're tight is because guess what happens? The client quits doing AdWords.
Right.
Or quits doing Facebook. So Facebook's way tighter than AdWords even, you know, because AdWords it's AdWords is quality score and lots of little bells and whistles and things that need to be checked off and done. And then Facebook is demographics, know where you're going, pick a certain style.
John was in there for 40 minutes talking
Showing
to
them
those
what was
guys
wrong.
about all the stuff that was wrong with their current Google PPC.
I know I
campaign.
probably shouldn't be this direct in these videos and podcasts, but you know, those particular clients that came in wanted basically free advice.
Yeah.
And here's the issue. So that guy that came in here is a nice client, and we've had him for years.
He's been with us for over 3 years now.
Over 3 years with two
good client, yeah.
businesses. And he's willing to go hire his own guy for, I mean, at least $3,000 a month minimum, right?
Yeah.
Probably
It's-
closer to 4, especially if you count the matching Social Security and Medicare. So he's spending this guy $4,000 a month that sat in his office for years, that could have come in here to make him probably over his already unbelievable business another 30-40% increase in gross money coming in the door, which
Right.
would have been an unbelievable additional profit margin. Sorry guys, very popular. There you go. Oh, cool name. Anyway, cool caller ID. Sorry, but so he came in to talk. He will not get the proper skill sets. Will not be able to translate what John did. Talk to him on the computer.
Right.
And you really should have this stuff. For me, comes down. I mean, I know that clients are concerned on. Good Lord, I know clients are concerned on. That's all different calls. I know clients are concerned on this stuff because they don't know what's going on, but it's worth a try for professional services because of the potential loss. And I'll say one other thing to kind of. I'll review my list before we finish up, but do you realize that they don't do it? They quit. So they
It doesn't work, and they say,
It
well, I
doesn't-
mean, we talk to them like that all the time. They say, I tried Facebook work once, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work.
And it's like,
I'm
you worked it wrong.
Yeah, so we did one of these one time. Is like Facebook doesn't work with you because you don't work Facebook properly.
Right.
And so so a lot of people quit because of it. So they go through and they go, well, I can do, or I'll hear this, well, I can do my own Facebook. I said, well, you can, yeah, but I mean, it's worth leaving, you know, the ego at the door or the extreme, you know, trying to save the money on it and letting somebody actually get in hold of it. we have some programs that are very interesting for roofers on creating a referral network. That's my favorite one. And I won't go into details on here.
We're not going to give it away.
For proprietary reasons. So, but that one I won't necessarily go into detail on, but I'm going to go over these. If you had anything else, do you have anything else?
No, I think I covered my bit.
So a very narrow audience, as we were saying. So narrow audience, a logical approach, know where you're going before you begin. You need to have personalized pics and videos, and even though we'll manage the account and we'll do the ad copy, Jason and his department will handle the ad copy for you, but
Right.
which is a little bit different than your normal post. But the normal posts need to come from the roofer because you're the one on job sites and seeing crews and picture.
The normal like daily, weekly posts, the word these days is authentic. It should just sound like you or one of your guys on the job site. It should be off the cuff, authentic, and seem like one of you. It should not seem like a professional sitting at an agency crafting.
So
a post.
we did this until recently.
Yeah.
We started it as a extra bonus benefit, and 5 years ago we could group post to roofers.
Right.
And we had really stock photography that looked better than some companies do on it, but it was still stock photography.
Right.
And then I guess within probably about 2 years ago, everybody became their own little editing softwares and apps, and everyone's gotten much more personal and showing themselves. And then this stuff looks bad. So 5 years ago, it looked okay because you didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden people start doing stuff and yours looks bad compared to the average one.
Right.
And so we recently quit doing that because we're not located there. It isn't personalized, but you really should consider a paid approach through Facebook for actual business that's part of a valuable campaign that can return, and have somebody help you with it. And so we do help with that stuff. I went through everything on here, I believe. And
Yeah, I think so.
yeah, so I mean, I love it overall. The end conclusion of this is that Google organic, yes. Google paid, yes. Facebook, just as posting without paid, a little bit, yeah. It's still important in case somebody goes to check you out. And then it's an organic factor too. And then actually to pay for it, for sure. You know, this
Definitely.
is, and
if you've done it before and you got discouraged, try again.
You should, because it needs to be done in a logical approach. I mean, you have no idea how many times who were we talking to that time that says, I don't do, oh, we went to see that guy.
That meeting we went to.
Yeah, we went to see that guy, and he's like, I don't do Facebook.
That doesn't work.
It doesn't
And
work.
He had his marketing person in this room with us, and we're telling him all this. And this woman was sitting there looking at him very pointedly because she'd already had this argument with him, and we were validating all of her points.
As I was talking, she was shaking her head like very deliberately. This was a very sharp, smart guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Very slick, smooth guy, very corporate acting.
Yeah,
you know.
very. And he had he had gotten the wrong idea because he hadn't understood. He hadn't properly understood the platform.
Yeah.
And he didn't understand how you work it to get the best out of it.
After we talked to him, he was considering it, but he was still going down. That's another thing that people do that's really irritating when I talk to them, is that they have a preconceived notion when they call up. I actually told a guy this on the phone the other day. I told you because he was calling me to dictate what he wanted done.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, this was an organic call. And he said, I just need you to fix what's wrong. And I'm like, and I'm looking at this website that's just the most god-awful template. This is exactly the kind. My wife watched YouTube videos and did this site by herself. And I'm like, and I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like,
As a veteran web designer with 20 years in the industry, give her a cookie
right.
and then have it designed by a professional.
So, and he said, well, we were getting 2 to 3 calls a week, and that's enough for me right now. This guy was referred by his brother, who kicks butt, and he was in, his brother referred. This guy was in asphalt paving and stuff.
Yeah.
And he said, well, I just need to this fix and that fix. He said, I don't need to pay anybody to do this stuff. I mean, keywords aren't going to change. Do you remember that? It is.
I'm sorry, that's funny.
It is. I'm sorry. It is. It's not because it's my life, man. But anyway.
It's funny though because I mean,
Yeah.
the terms people use to search for something changes all the time. We're constantly
Keyword
researching
searching
keywords.
may be similar. There's voice and other stuff, but the thing that goes into the engine behind it changes every day now.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
there's a constant
ridiculous
fluctuation. If you're number one today, you're number two tomorrow. You might get number one the day after that, and be number three the day after that. There is a constant fluctuation based on so many factors. We, who are professionals in the industry, don't even know them all. The only people that know them all are Google themselves.
They don't
tell anybody.
They don't tell us. We just do as many skilled things as possible. So I looked at it and I'm like, I said, this is a traditional bad website that does not deserve to show up in search ranking. He said, but it used to get 2 to 3 clicks a day. I talked to him again after he signed up, I might add. And I said, I think I figured out what had gone wrong. And by now he was much nicer. And I
That's
said,
what you had me look at it, and I said, this has the standard stuff wrong with it, but I don't see any egregious problem.
it was a horrible website.
Yeah.
So the guy had a family website, and that had gone. Well, they had tied the button on the Google account on the GMB, and it went over to his account, the one that had been up for a decade.
Okay. Yeah.
So the old account, unbeknownst to him, was providing 2 or 3 calls to his horrible web effort.
Right.
He paid somebody $1,500 to do a one-time hit, who did not do anything to the website but put him on 1,500 directories. He said, they put me on 1,500 directories and then it plummeted. I need somebody smart enough to fix it and then move on. I said, sir, we can't just fix that. I said, for one thing, right now, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, I just need someone that can do it. I said, look, if you were on trial for something and go into jail, this is what I told the guy. I said, would you go up to the attorney and tell them how to defend you when you got the best one in town? I said, you were referred to me because we're one of the best there is in the country. By a direct referral, who's your brother? And you called me to dictate to me what to do and also told me that my services aren't worthy of paying for on a regular basis. I said, so I'm not sure what you want. He said, well, you said you'd get a free website audit. I said, we will. I'll send you a simple free website audit. Knock yourself out. I said, is that going to help out? And I said, we still have to do the work to do it. I said, are you willing to listen to me on what I would do? Because I can't help you in the condition that you're currently in, which is angry and no respect for marketing companies.
Right.
Jesus.
Good God.
I'm sorry, saying this out loud. I told Jason this already.
Yeah.
But to say it out loud,
that laughter earlier, I laughed just like that the day before yesterday.
saying it out, it was louder, by the way, and slightly
I'm a loud
demoralizing for my.
I wasn't laughing at you. I was laughing at the other guy.
I know, but it's harmful to me. Jason laughs in such a billowing, I don't know. It made me feel bad.
Loud.
It made me feel bad. So he listened, and we went over it. And I said, sir, I don't know what happened here, but we can make you a fantastic website for everything from chip seal and seal coating to parking lot striping and handy and ADA compliance and all this stuff, right?
Right.
So this website's massive and awesome.
Yeah.
Going to this territory, and best one by far that has ever existed and probably will ever exist in this market.
Right.
You know what we're putting up for it.
Yeah, where he's absolutely
it's ridiculous. So we went through it and we got it up, and then after I got off the phone with him, we went and looked at his. We went and looked at this. This is
My
interesting.
battery's almost dead.
Is it? We went and looked at this here. Well, it doesn't matter. We went and looked at this site, and regular podcast videos are this long.
Yeah,
we just don't.
We don't usually talk this.
We don't normally talk this long. So anyway, we went and looked at it, and I figured out why. And I called him back, and I said, I think I know why, because you canceled this. You daisy chained it, which downed your newer site because it's against webmaster rules.
Right.
And then you canceled the one that brought all the leads in because of the little link. I said the site that you put up that your wife did didn't actually do anything.
Yeah, everything was coming in from the
now
old
you're actually
linkage.
right.
And you cut off. You had a spigot here, and you hooked a hose to it to go over here.
Right.
and then you undid the spigot. You turned the spigot off, and
Google went,
and,
you can't do that, and then took down the newer site actually.
yeah.
But then told him to get rid of the older one,
Yeah.
so the newer one will come back. And I said, and when you did that, you inadvertently cut all your leads out, and now you're actually realizing what the results are of the site that you have,
Yeah.
which actually didn't move or do anything.
Yeah,
And the
so it
1,500
was
directory
useless.
links that they did didn't hurt at all. I said, I'm on majestic.com right now looking at them. There's nothing here. I said, those guys just took your money.
So they didn't even do the links?
No. It's bullcrap, but this
Yeah.
is what happens. The,
Yeah,
the
that's
point
what
in telling this story was that we'll do the Facebook account very legitimately and properly. Be a very high chance that it works out,
Right.
right? I was going to tell one other thing about that story, but I can't remember what it was. But his brother had told him to call us in July of last year.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
He did- yeah.
So-
and
So
back then is when
August,
he had his...
September. So 6 months or 5 months, six months, July. And then it's January, February. So 8 months. So 8 months before, he was high rolling. I won't tell you how much money he's making, but it was
Yeah, you
darn,
told me, and I'm not going to say it, but
Yeah, it was darn good. And he's kind of Texas country. I mean, the town's got 150,000 people, and it may be 200 in the whole area,
yeah,
250.
in the whole metro area.
But that's country around here.
Metro area.
We got 10 million. That's country.
Yeah.
That's 250,000 people. So he was big dog, and he said, I don't think I can afford that. And the guy that was our client said, I don't think I cannot afford it. These guys do it all. And we're not expensive either.
Yeah.
So he's like, well, I got better than that. I'll do 15, baby, right now. Put my money down. This guy said he could do it all for $1,500. I'm
By the
smart.
way,
I'm
those
thinking.
citations, that's one of the things we do.
One of the things. So that's one of the things.
He would have gotten that. They'd have actually been done
Yes.
instead of bullshit.
Yes.
And he got a website and
Oh,
all the other efforts.
he could have continued his cocky run all the way.
Yeah.
Had a 10-gallon hat on, been rolling, with that. But anyway, so now he's online. But the point of the story is that, are you okay?
I died.
Oh, you died.
He's going to have to sum up with your back.
I'm sorry.
I had a new battery.
I talk a little too much sometimes. This was a good one. I don't get to, I haven't been doing them with these with Jason as much. You guys will have to chime in and say who you like as my, as a second up
The
here.
beard. It's the beard.
Anyway, we can help you with it. Those are real life stories. Poor me. Poor me. I don't mind. I like talking to everybody, actually. I do. These are good stories to hear, though. This is the real life stuff that happens to people. And actually, when people get savvy and start listening to stuff this far through, this is the stuff that makes it happen, man. You get to listen and you have proper work done, and then you get dominant online. And when the day that somebody decides that marketing is paramount, is the number one thing to the company, is the day that you start being able to get closer to your dreams and making it work.
Right.
That's how I got started, because it was so critical. No money was made without marketing working properly. I eventually just ended up with a marketing business. I guess since Jason's speaker's out and I talked too long, we had 2 bars though, right? Before you started.
I had 3 bars on my battery. It was
Oh, you had
full.
3?
Yeah, it was a
Oh.
brand new battery. I don't know what.
I had 1. Maybe it was just, I don't know, too much workload. All right, guys, y'all know the drill on it. If you ever want to ask a question, we'd love to hear from you. We'll talk to you later.
See you.